All right, well, we are back here. Let's see. Yeah. We got a special guest that's about to join us right now. Here, let me see. Let's get him in. Well, welcome back here to the Kansas City Chiefs cheat sheet. Darren Smith Seawalls, and we are going to be joined. Here you go, Mr. Sir. We've got with us ESPN's Jeff Darlington joining us. Well, I'm gonna move this camera back a little bit so folks can see you. No. You're yeah. Chris, well, first of all, thank you so much for taking some time out of your schedule to join us today. Wanted to know briefly when you talked to Patrick last week, knowing about the struggles that he's had over the last month and a half. Did you get a sense in your interview with him prior to the Monday night game that that's affecting his play?
So I actually really impressed with these, when I talk to him, like a lot of times when guys start to fight verbally for the first time and you start to hear the criticism and people start to come out against them, you sort of see a player become a little bit jaded, maybe a little cynical, and almost to a degree that's off-putting. He didn't have that at all. Like he very clearly recognized, like this is a problem that our team has right now, and we need to fight through it. And I even said at one point, he was like sitting forward in his chair, like you felt it, like you. I don't know. I'm not trying to be some psychologist here. I felt like his energy was exactly where you want a guy to be because I would imagine in the locker room, those guys feel that, and if a guy starts to kind of do the whole haters gonna hate thing,
Yeah.
and I didn't have that, and I kind of like that demeanor from him.
Have just in your time covering the National Football
Yeah.
League, have you seen a quarterback, with the caliber of Patrick that's had some of the like regression that he's had over this past season?
I mean, they've all had it. You go, Tom Brady's had it. Like you look at some of his tough seasons when the infamous on to Kansas City
Right.
line.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Or on to Cincinnati. It was after the Kansas City
that's the
game.
Kansas City Monday night game.
I mean, guys have it, and you write them off, and guess what? I will not be one of those people. Like there are
And they're going to win
generational
the Super
talents.
Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. And there's generational talents, and Patrick Mahomes is one of them. So if he has a stretch that he's got to figure out, like okay, teams are playing, you know, two safeties over the top, and they're starting to play Travis with the cornerback. Like he's got. I just refuse to believe that that person will not eventually figure that out.
I agree.
When you look at this team, and hate to say they've fallen from grace, but obviously they've
Yeah,
had
they have.
three.
I mean, it's a tough.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
this is a tough deal.
that-
It's okay to say it too.
well, yeah,
You have to have some therapy.
Well, but
Right.
hate to
It's
say,
okay to
but
say
if we
it's
say
not
that we
as
become haters, gonna hate. So that's
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
why we try to use our words carefully. But seeing, we try to say, that obviously the talent's there. We know the talent level's there. But would you
Right.
say that other teams have just gotten better, and not only have they gotten better, but they've gotten better to beat Kansas City specifically, especially in the AFC?
Maybe I mean, it's so complicated because like that's where I'm so confused. That's actually how I what I said to Patrick at my first question during the interview is like, I think I speak for the sports world when I say like I'm confused. Like I thought they were going to go undefeated this year. I was like on the record before the season saying that.
I'm not the only one. So now,
I mean, every time freezing cold takes, they use my post where I'm like, I think that they could go undefeated. But I mean, there's a combination of things. But when you look at the roster, you're like, wow, it doesn't feel that different.
Right.
But then it's not like the Giants, an NFC team, are building their roster to play better against the Chiefs. But then the defense coordinator says, we're going to play our big cornerback against Kelsey, and we're going to hold him down, and we're going to say, we'll take him out of it. We'll take Tyreek out of it. And I think teams are just going to start to try those different things. You got to have a third receiver option.
Exactly.
That's effective. You got to maybe put a little more, when Kareem was here playing running back, like put yourself a big beast of a running back there, and things might change a little bit too. There's some personnel that has changed, but by and large, I think that the confusing part is we look at the blueprint of this team and it feels the same.
We're joined by ESPN's NFL reporter Jeff Darlington here on the Chiefs Cheat Sheet live from Arrowhead Stadium. Another question that I posed to Eric Bieniemy about a month or so ago, and he kind of laughed it off, but everybody's kind of picked up on it since. Do you think that teams have caught up to the Chiefs' offense and Patrick Mahomes, or do you just think, again, just what Tampa Bay put on film,
Yeah.
that the Chiefs just haven't been able to adapt to it after the Super Bowl?
I mean, I still think it's somewhat personnel driven. Like I was saying about the third receiver and the running back and all that. Because I don't think you I don't know. I don't think you catch up to Patrick.
They only scored 3 points against Tennessee.
I know, but Tennessee's a good team, and they've had some battles against Tennessee too.
Yeah.
So it's not like same with the Bills and the Ravens. Like it's not like. I mean, I guess the thing is that you're not going to play backyard football for his entire career. He's going to have to adapt and adjust. And one thing that Tom Brady went through, and he still talks about it, is that those first Super Bowls that he got were the easiest. and that actually sort of made it. He went a span. I can't remember how
10
long.
years.
10 years
10
before
years.
his next.
Yep.
And he says that is probably his greatest accomplishment or the one he appreciated the most because he's like, wow, I didn't realize how hard it was to actually do this. And I remember saying, I talked to Patrick about that at one point, and I think he recognized it, but it's like, yeah, I'll be fine. I'm going to win 20 of these things.
Right.
But Tom Brady went through it too, and eventually he was going to. It's just now a matter of how they adjust.
I know you mentioned Kareem Hunt, but another guy that a lot of people are mentioning is Sammy Watkins. How much do you feel like they've missed Sammy Watkins? They're having that third receiver.
It's the third receiver. It's not necessarily. I mean, yes, give credit to Sammy,
right?
But like, look, I keep making the analogy to the Bucs because I do think there are these parallels between Tom and Patrick when we talk about generational players. That's the world that we're going to talk about Patrick in. But you look at his receivers,
right?
And when you have that third option, it changes things. You can't just shut down Travis and Tyreek. And for the past couple of years, they've had that.
Right.
Whether it's Sammy or not just Sammy, who's
Hardman.
Hardman,
DeMarcus
Robinson. So if you got to have that, and again, I don't think we should understate. I keep saying it, but the running game.
And a lot of people don't realize that Patrick has bailed this team out a lot and has had really no one that stepped up. Whether it be a third receiver, running back, or Travis, Tyreek, anybody like that, that's really maybe able to step up when he's not played well this season.
The turnovers are killer, and he's got to cut that out. I know it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
But I mean, so before the Giants game, and I'm sure it's not the case. It maybe not the case anymore. But they were averaging their points per drive on the season were higher. Points per drive on offense. Yeah. Digest this. We're higher than any team in NFL history other than the 2007 Patriots, the historic 2007 Patriots. Mm-hmm. So think about that. I mean, like, while this team was battling all of this criticism and adversity, deservedly so, they were still generating points.
Right.
And that, again, is the confounding, the thing that's so confusing. You have a defense that's struggling. You have too many turnovers. Like, if you take one of those things away, this team is probably a 2-loss team at this point.
Yeah, no, and Patrick and the players have said it, and we kind of, obviously the if factor when it comes to a lot of things, but obviously if the players just don't shoot themselves in the foot with the turnovers, Patrick not throwing the interceptions, taking the sack here and there instead of throwing, and then of course Clyde was there fumbling twice in those back-to-back games.
If fifths were fifths, we'd all be drunk.
Yeah, I'm trying to tell you.
We won't do the other. But aunts and uncles.
Yeah, exactly. But so look, we look at today's ball game. I do want to touch on this. Your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers being unvaccinated, missing today's ball game, and catching COVID.
Well, it's funny because you talk to the Packers, as I did this week, some different people in the organization, and it's like they do recognize that this is an opportunity to see Jordan Love.
That's what we want.
And one in which you're not talking about an injured player in Aaron Rodgers. It's not like he's not going to be back. No, he's coming back. So you kind of get a look. Like, there is a weird silver lining in this. You're 7-1. You have padding. You have the tie for the best record in the NFL. So, I mean, there's some good in this. Like, it's not a great situation with Aaron.
Right.
And there's some frustration there for sure. But, I mean, if the guy has a tenuous future already and you get a look at the guy who might replace him, it's a big game for him.
Then if he gets a chance to ball out, of course, Aaron Rodgers is scheduled to come back next Saturday. But if Jordan Love happens to ball out, whether win or lose, but if he balls out today, you could potentially be like, yeah, we'll give you another week off. Now, granted, it's the Seattle Seahawks, and with that defense, Jordan Love could have another good showing out there if they allow him to, play a 2-game stretch.
I mean,
I don't think it's gonna happen.
it's one of those things where everything that we hear, you're generally as a fan, like we have this like fantastical view of what's happening behind the scenes. In this case, it actually feels like that. Like they got to be thinking after what they went through this offseason with Aaron, like, and we get a look or maybe two at Jordan. I mean, you can't be a smart organization and not appreciate that moment.
And what's interesting, if you look at this game, of course, obviously you wanted the State Farm, matchup, and 3 years in a row now you're not going to get it, but there's still a lot of intrigue as you relate, because as you said, they could be looking at the future in today's ball game with Jordan Love, and obviously they have enough faith in him to just we're going to put him out there. They don't feel like they're going to have to do any special type of plays or anything for him. He knows the playbook. He's been there for a couple of years.
Right.
The Chiefs have had problems with big quarterbacks. They've also had problems with a quarterback with a strong arm and athletic quarterbacks. I mean, he fits the mold now, and because you don't have a lot of film on him, you don't know what to expect.
Well, that's the curious part, but also, I mean, I get the sense. I was talking to Matt LaFleur, the Packers head coach, and I mean, they don't really know either. Like, as much as these guys see him in practice, and we knew with Patrick that he was generational when Alex was still taking the reps, right? Everybody in that practice knew this guy's a freak. With that's not normal,
right?
And Jordan is running with scout team. He's not getting. He said this week, like, I'm not getting reps with the first team offense. Devontae Adams, they asked him, like, what's your chemistry going to be like with Jordan? And Devontae's like, I don't know. I mean, you can't make that up.
Yeah.
He had some preseason action. He had some garbage time against the Saints in week 1. And he had the OTAs. Other than that, like, he's been with the team for a year and a half, but he really hasn't been working with the ones.
Yeah.
So the team doesn't even know what they're seeing.
And that's interesting you say that, because, and we talked about it right when the show started, it was the fact that Aaron wasn't there over the summer. Jordan Love was around the team.
Yeah.
And
which is a big help.
Was he around any of the players? I mean, was he around any of the other guys?
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about Jordan.
Jordan, yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing they can point to as like their experience with Jordan with the ones. But think about that. Like,
no
OTAs.
Live action.
Yeah. I mean, that's good and all. But if we're being real, I think that's the one thing we're all wondering what we're going to see from Jordan Love. So too are the Packers. Like they're saying the same thing. In fact, Matt told me, he's like, I said, what's the one thing you're excited to see from him that maybe the rest of us might not know? And he said, I want to see what he does when things get tough.
Right.
We have no idea what Jordan Love's like in tough moments.
And he's going to get a welcome to the NFL call with this crowd here at Arrowhead. Right. Before we get you out of just your overall thoughts on the game, who do you think's going to win?
I think the Chiefs are. First of all, you can't dismiss. I mean, we can talk about Jordan Love and the opportunity, but you cannot dismiss Aaron Rodgers' ability. Yeah. You take a starting quarterback out, it changes the complexion of the game.
Right.
It's in Arrowhead. It is beautiful outside.
It is.
I just went and saw one of my friends out in G.E.H.A, and these guys are throwing them back. And this is going to be loud and proud. And, everybody here in Kansas City is starting to winterize their houses. They're going to get one last sunny day to throw down. So, I mean, I do think that the Chiefs set up, they should win this game. If they don't, man, I'm glad I'm getting on a flight out of town.
But not only this game, though, real quick, the AFC seems like it's wide open. I mean, the Raiders are going through their ups and downs right now.
They're losing right now.
And I saw Buffalo is tied with Jacksonville.
Yep. Josh Allen's having a bad day.
So the AFC West is wide open.
And Denver's about to knock off Dallas, and Chiefs play Dallas in 2 weeks, and they play the Raiders next week. On
it's still there.
Oh yeah, it's there.
Like it's not, and that's the one thing that I think. Like, this team can flip it. And I mean, I don't have a ton of faith in the defense, but the offense can flip it. That's what I keep saying. I'm like, man, if they got to win 55-52 every week, like they did it, was that Rams game?
Right. We were there, 2018.
Yeah. You do what you got to do.
Right.
But you gotta flip it at some point. And today would be a perfect time to do it.
And we talked this whole time, and we didn't even bring up Melvin Ingram.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Melvin Ingram at it? Does he make this defense better?
I think so.
Okay.
I like the fact that they're at least acknowledging it, because so often teams sit there and say, no, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. Right. Kind of like I've done this whole interview. It's like that scene in Animal House where, if you've seen that movie, The guy's standing in the middle of the street
Oh,
trying
Belushi, no doubt.
to direct traffic. Everything is okay. But I mean, hey, they get a win today. You got a winning record. You just keep it moving.
And that'll be the first time this season they would have won back-to-back consecutive ball games,
Right.
which is something that they need going into Las Vegas next week. So
Team's too good. Let me rephrase this. Patrick Mahomes is too good. He is too good. And you will not ever get me to say otherwise. I will take that one down until the end of my career.
Agree. Jeff, really appreciate the time. I know you got to get back
We're good,
down
man.
and get ready for
Thanks, guys.
for the game. And
Thank you.
perhaps we'll see you next week in Las Vegas.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe you can talk to ESPN. Let them
Man.
let you do that game in Las Vegas.
ESPN doesn't send me to Vegas. They're smart, man. All right, thanks, guys.
I appreciate it very much, Jeff Darlington,
Yes,
ESPN. Join us. I appreciate it very much. Steve, so we do trap up the big guests, and as they say, any given Sunday. But before we get out of here, Steve, let's get your quick thoughts on the overall matchup, offense, defense, keys to the ball game, in your opinion, for the Chiefs to pull out a win today.
I'll start with the Packers first. For them to get a win today, I feel like it's kind of like what Jeff was saying. We don't know much about Jordan Love, but one thing we do know, he has to play phenomenal, and I think he understands that. I would imagine, his inner circle has told him like, "Hey, man, this is your opportunity to show what you have. This is the opportunity where if you feel like you want to step into some big shoes that are a path that's been laid out for you." And the question of Aaron Rodgers not being there next year is a real possibility. So if you want to go out and be the quarterback of the future, this is the game that you have to come out to that ball. He understands that, and I think you're going to see the best Jordan Love that you're able to see. And their defense, I mean, they have to shut down Patrick Mahomes. That's just it. Now the Chiefs side of things, I feel like their defense is going to try to get after Jordan Love. The Spags is going to throw some of those blitzes that he hasn't seen. And I know Spags said earlier this week that you just can't always bring the house. Well,
that's what they're going to do.
You have a guy like Jordan Love who hasn't seen regular game action since week 1, which it was garbage time. But you have to throw some things at him that he's been like, whoa, I wasn't prepared for that, or some things that you've seen on film, but you don't understand what it's really like until the Bears right there in front of you, right? So I think the defense really has to get after the quarterback and show what they can do, because you've added Melvin Ingram now. This is some time where Chris Jones is able to get a stat padded game, also Frank Clark, and build some chemistry with Melvin Ingram. So and also Anthony Hitchens is coming back. So this will be the first game where you're able to have all of your starters back and ready to go. And then on the offensive side of the ball, Patrick Mahomes just has to be Patrick Mahomes. Don't try to do too much. Don't drive the ball all the way down.
But isn't that Patrick Mahomes?
Well, not really, because the games that we've seen in 2018 and 2019 for the Super Bowl run, he wasn't really, and it took a minute for me to really understand. He wasn't doing too much. He was just being Patrick Mahomes, and it seemed like everything came easy to him. Now it seems like when he throws the ball across his body, it's a real struggle. Like, it's a real struggle to get the ball 40 yards or 50 yards down the field to Tyreek Hill. Before, it was just like, oh, whoa, man, what are we looking at? What type of quarterback? What kind of dudes do we have here in Kansas City? So I feel like they just need to be the offense that we've come to see all season.
I do believe Kansas City pulls out the win. Now, had Aaron Rodgers been playing in today's ball game, I did have the Packers winning. Look, with Jordan Love, they can still probably make the game competitive. I'm taking the Packers with the points. I'm giving them the points.
Oh, so you're not going to change your pick like you said you were going to do? No?
Yeah, I'm changing my pick. No. I got the Chiefs winning, but I'm still going +7 with Green Bay. So Green Bay can lose this game, but lose by 7 or less.
Okay.
And if they win, then I won anyway.
Gotcha.
So be that as it may, I do see, again, key for Kansas City is going to be make sure A, they don't turn the ball over. As we've always said, don't turn the ball over. And B, can the defense create turnovers? Can they actually give the offense an extra possession? Just for people who may not know, the Raiders did fall in today's ball game, 23-16 to the New York Football Giants. So. Again, opportunities abound for Kansas City.
Chiefs go out there and win next week. They have the tiebreaker.
And well, not only that, they'll be ahead of them as well. So a lot to unpack as it relates to that. Cleveland and Cincinnati. Cleveland is winning big over Cincinnati right now. Looking at this, some other score updates, man. This is a crazy day in the NFL. The Chargers, of course, will be kicking off in just a few moments, and of course, looking at the Dallas Cowboys, they are going to be losing to the Denver Broncos. So the Chiefs need to win this game for no other reason to stay neck and neck with the Denver Broncos as well. I think at the end of the day, though, Kansas City, they do find a way to win this game. I think the crowd here at Arrowhead is going to be a factor in the ball game against Jordan Love and this offense. They're going to make sure that he gets rattled as much as humanly possible. But I also think the addition of Melvin Ingram, now we get a chance to see what a former Pro Bowl player in Melvin Ingram, putting him together with Frank Clark, with Chris Jones, and Jerry Reed. Let's see what the potential of this front line can look like. See whether or not they actually get pressure and actually do, and see if Spags sends pressure out to the quarterback. And let's see what they can do on the back end of that. So if they can do that, I like Kansas City should be able to pull off this one. I'm going to go Kansas City 20-28. And I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers 21. So they do win by 7.
Hmm,
And
okay.
so, but be that as it may, we both got the Chiefs winning. We'll be back post game with our respective platforms with the press conferences with Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and other players. And then, of course, we'll be back with the Red Hour on tomorrow. And then Steve and I will join you all from Las Vegas next week for our pregame show for Monday Night Football, or for Sunday Night Football. But Steve, before we get out of here, who you rocking, my man?
I appreciate my friends over at Dealers on the Roster. Go check them out. My good friends Broderick and also Athena. They take care of me each and every week. They style me and make sure that I'm looking right for my game day look. So go check them out. Dealers on the Roster.
And I've got to say, of course, thank you once again. And as always, to Todd White of Todd's Clothiers and Taylor Suits, getting me looking right and looking fitted for today's ball game. With a load of accent and help from my guy Debo Dewan Bonds as well. So until after the game, and until next week, and until the Red Hour tomorrow for Steve Walls, I am Darren Smith. Thank you so much for joining us. Go Chiefs.